Allison Rosen. Allison Rosen is your new best friend. Allison, with her good times never end. Allison Rosen, doing the wavy pencil dance again. Allison Rosen, Allison's your new best friend.
Hey everyone. Hi. Hello. Welcome to another episode of Allison Rosen is Your New Best Friend. I am sitting here in my studio for what is the second in-person Monday show since we have gently gone back to in-person. And I say gently because I've got some remotes on the calendar still, but then I've got some in-persons as well. And you know what that means if you've been listening to my show. It means I'm about to be a bazillionaire because producer Tony Thaxton, self-proclaimed bad boy of podcasting, has offered me $40,000 per in-person episode that he gets to produce. You might be thinking, how does that work out financially? To which I say, don't worry about it. His finances are his fine. Don't infantilize him by trying to balance his books. Tony, how's it going?
It's going all right. Is Sunday okay for Ed McMahon to show up? I'm sorry, there'll actually be a holographic Ed McMahon because he's no longer. But he's going to show up with the giant check.
Yes,
for you for the first
good.
one. I felt like do it on the holidays. It's a special.
Right,
this is
Easter.
my first one back.
Yeah.
I guess. Yeah.
I'm actually not going to be. I'm actually going to my parents for Easter.
Oh, that's the only time he's available. I'm sorry. I guess you're not going to be able to get that money.
Couldn't he show up there? Is there does the hologram only travel within LA borders? Oh,
yeah.
Fucking goddamn it!
He used to work in Burbank. He will only work in Burbank.
Well, how about look, I'm always running late anyway, even though the Easter egg hunt happens at exactly, let's see if I could do military time, at exactly 1400 hours. Is that right? Yeah. And that for me, that's early because you know what? No one needs to know how long it takes me to get out the door. I have children. It takes a while. And especially our guest, whom I have not even introduced yet, which is very rude. I know that he wakes up at a very early time every single day. His body just gets him up and then he drinks coffee, has a protein bar, and reads every day. And we're going to get into that.
It's pretty much the same except for the reading.
You eat a protein bar too?
Yeah, more or less. It's like a Quest bar, if you know what those are.
I do know what they are. Okay, We're going to get into all of that. And now I'm actually wondering if I got I feel like maybe it's not even a protein bar that he has. We're going to get into that. Anyway, let's get back to my 40,000. Okay, so the hologram can show up before I leave is what I'm trying to say.
Okay. All right.
But
I'll just have to talk to the people, but you know.
Talk to the people. Now, last week we had Carly Wiesel, theme park journalist and award-winning cookie reporter. And she wrote a story about the famous sugar cookie conflict happening in Utah. And our guest grew up there.
Oh.
How long am I going to talk about him with him right in front of me as if he's not even here?
I mean, this seems like business as usual.
Probably for a while.
Yeah. I mean, I'm looking at the time here. This is still early.
Yeah, what are we, like minute 4? 3?
Not even.
Oh my God. Yeah. I have so much more. I can share his whole life story and then introduce him. But anyway, you weren't here because you had a cold, not COVID.
Right.
You had a cold.
Correct.
So I was out 40K large.
Yeah. Worked out for me, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you're feeling better now. You just have a lingering cough.
Yeah, just that thing, the cough that continues for the next several weeks, but I feel totally fine now. Yeah.
Tony, are you enjoying our crackling in-person energy?
I mean, I think the listeners can just feel it.
I could just float on it. I could sit on top of it.
It's weirdly jarring, but in a good way.
I feel like I'm talking. Actually, I'm not having it right now, but when Carly was here, I felt like I was talking really loudly. I felt like my voice was echoing.
Yeah, I mean, it's like we got so used to the headphones, the way everything sounded through Zoom, and like I was used to having a million things on my screen, and I'm like, oh, I this is so much easier.
I know.
Worth the 40K when you eventually get it. Yeah.
That makes me feel like I'm not going to get it.
Well, you'll have to see.
Because I went out and I spent $35K.
Well, that's on you.
I know they say don't count your, there's a lot of phrases. Don't count your chickens before they hatch. And then also What else? Don't spend money before you have it. I think maybe
that's what you're doing. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not an expression.
It's not really an idiom when you think about it. It's just kind of literal. Possibly my mouth wrote a check that my ass couldn't cash. Is that the phrase?
Something like that.
My mouth be writing checks. I don't know. I think I did some of that, but I had $35,000 worth of things in my cart, and I had to buy them. It's important that Ed McMahon. Where are we now? Like 5.5 minutes? Because I'm getting tired of myself. Yeah. I'm so sick of myself. Okay, I'm so delighted to have my guest in studio.
Woo!
He's a producer. He's a writer. He is a podcast host. He hosts a very, very popular podcast called I Said No Gifts. Please put your hands together for Bridger Winegar.
Oh, Allison.
I'm sorry you had to sit through that introduction. Not only did I grow tired of myself, I began to hate myself.
When I agreed to be on this podcast, I told you I wanted to sit here for a half an hour in silence. So I'm ready to sit back and let you go for another 25.
Well, if you insist. So anyway, Tony. No, I'm just kidding. Welcome.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Shoot off.
Ooh, shoot off. Is that what they say now?
I think so. I just made it up.
Shoot off, Queen.
Shoot off, Queen.
Okay. I heard about an item on your podcast that I had already heard about from my co-host on Childish, Greg Fitzsimmons. So I was already familiar with it. But hearing about it from Greg and then hearing about it on your show, I was like, I've got to go out and get this thing. And I went out and got it, but it didn't work for me. So I want to know, do I have permission to talk about it? Can I talk about something in a possible, it's not a negative light. I'm not going to shit on it, but I just need to offer a counterpoint. Or do we only talk about the gifts on your show in a positive light?
Well, do you want to get into a screaming match?
I'm open to it.
Let's talk about it.
Okay. I love Beth Stelling. She's been on my show.
Love Beth.
She recommended the Turtle.
Of course.
Which is a neck pillow for travel. And I believe it's spelled like a dating app with no vowels.
Kind of like that period of time when we were dropping Tumblr.
Yes.
Tumblr's the only thing that comes to mind.
Doesn't Grindr have no?
Grindr has no E. Let's see. Does it? Yeah. Yeah. Grindr has no E. There was that period between about 2012 and 2015.
Right.
When every tech company or startup, for whatever reason, decided the vowel was no longer cool.
I feel like the new thing tech companies are doing is just going to initials.
Oh, such as?
I really wish... Oh, I know. So there's a podcast production company called Cadence 13.
Oh, yes.
And now it's C13.
Oh, you're kidding.
Well,
now it's so
serious.
Cool.
Yeah.
C13.
I'm A. Rosen. You should be B. Winegar.
I'm
T.
happy
Thaxton.
to be B. Winegar.
Yeah. I feel like they do, or like that big tech company, Kentucky Fried Chicken. I love their apps.
KFC.
Yeah. It's like when they want to reinvent themselves.
Right. I don't feel like that's cool. I think that feels rather old fashioned to me. It's just like radio call letters.
It really is.
But maybe I guess that's cool. Yeah. We have to drop something. So C13. C13 sounds like a bad local channel.
Take that, C13.
I'm sorry, C13.
I don't know if they're just reinventing themselves as C13 or if C13 is like a subsidiary of Cadence 13 or something for certain shows. And why did I even hear? What was I even listening to that was like, it's produced by da-da-da and C13? Well, I don't know, but I know I heard it. Anyway, the Turtle. So
the Turtle. Turtl.
Yes. So it is this neck. It's like a scarf neck pillow thing, and you wear. Have you tried it?
I've tried it at home, so it's a hard thing for me to talk about because it's obviously meant for travel.
Yeah.
And so far it has not left the confines of my office. So, but you have obviously tried
I took it on a plane.
And I want to hear about your experience.
Took my first flight. Tony, are you familiar with this?
Yes.
Beth will not shut up about this thing. She
Greg
loves it.
Fitzsimmons proselytizes and evangelizes about it. And I think Nikki Glaser might have one too. So it's got quite a comedian pedigree. It has allowed Greg to sleep on like many a flight. So it's this neck pillow scarfy thing that you wrap around your neck, but it's got this brace inside it. So you can just be sitting and it'll hold your neck upright, and you can like put the full weight of your head / neck on it, and you're just comfortable as a turtle or something. You know, that famed well-rested animal, the turtle. So I was like, we're flying to Hawaii. Sorry, I'm fancy sometimes. But we flew in coach, so it wasn't that great. But we're flying to Hawaii, and I think I forgot that I have 2 children, so there's like no way I'm going to sleep or read or do anything of relaxing on the plane. But anyway, I'm like, I got to get a turtle. So I got myself one, put it on the plane, and I lasted, I don't know, less than a minute with it because it just wasn't comfortable. And I read the instructions. It has directions on it. It's like, put back of neck here, put jaw or over here. And I tried it on the side, and then I put it on the front of my neck too. And I kept like ramming my head into it to see like, will it really hold me up? And then I just thought, it's okay, but it's not any more comfortable than just leaning my head against the seat. That was what I found. I don't know. So it just didn't work for me.
When you're sleeping on a plane, you are like kind of head to shoulder.
Yeah.
Is that what's happening?
I guess. Or, you know, we flew American, and the thing that's the headrest has like, you can kind of push the little flaps on the side of the headrest you can like make them cradle your head a bit. It's not super comfortable, but you can do that.
Right. And now I'm trying to think of how I fall asleep on a plane. And I have the only memories I have of falling asleep on a plane are when I'm jolted awake. So that's only my head going forward. So I don't know where my head is while I'm unconscious. Mm-hmm. So the turtle it's really up in the air as to whether it's going to work for me or not. I don't know that I sleep to the side, which is kind of how you have to use the turtle. When you said you put it in front of your head, that sounds deeply uncomfortable to me.
It's an option for it, though.
I
know.
The
Yeah.
chokehold?
For people who like to sleep with someone's hand right there. Yeah.
Just being strangled.
Just leaning forward. Here's another thing, though, and this is a point in the turtle's defense. When you have it on, you're practically mummified. So now I'm remembering. I think Greg puts his sleep mask on and some tune. I mean, you're really like, I am not to be disturbed for the next 6 hours. Maybe pop an Ambien, and whereas I'm the kind of person where like I don't even like to wear sunglasses because I feel like then I can't tell what's going on sometimes. So I think maybe it took me out of the scene a little too much or something. I felt too wrapped up in it.
Right, and also simultaneously vulnerable. You could be attacked.
That's the word.
You're not ready to spring into action.
Right.
Whereas it sounds like Greg it'll be like an hour before he's able to defend himself.
Yes.
That for me, I do like to be able to just spring into action. Mm-hmm. Or like if I have to get up and use the restroom, I don't want to have to be
Yes.
I mean, apologies to Beth. She did give me one as a gift, but the idea of unwrapping myself and getting up, and then the eye patch or the eye mask thing, I can't do that on a plane.
Yeah.
And also, taking an Ambien for me is all I would need. I could fall asleep on a bathroom floor if I have an Ambien.
Right.
I don't need the rest of the things.
The accoutrements.
But
yeah.
Also, if I'm traveling less than 5 hours, I don't need anything. Mm-hmm. I imagine if I was traveling to Japan or something, that feels like you're bringing the suit, the sleeping suit,
the duvet.
But if I'm going to New York or something,
right?
Well, I don't know. That feels like a little much for me.
Mm-hmm.
Also, when you fall asleep on a plane, do you sleep the entire time?
No.
I fall asleep for maybe 45 minutes, and then I wake up, and then I'm in a true hell because I'm like, now I can't go back to sleep. I have all of the energy in the world, and now I'm just trapped in sky jail for the next 4 hours.
I tend to fall asleep at the very end.
Oh.
I get very sleepy at the end. And I always wonder, like, does the oxygen change near the end? Because it actually sucks that now I'm sleepy? Now when I need to, like, grab all my crap and get off the plane and look alive and get, and go to baggage claim and all this, like, it had to happen now? That's a bummer.
To me, that seems perfect because if I'll usually fall asleep within like the first half hour. Then I wake up and I think, oh, the flight's almost over. And then I have to watch like 2 full movies, which is just too much. I would rather have the slow torture into sleep and then wake up as we're landing and then kind of groggily make my way through the airport. Mm-hmm. But I've never experienced it, so I guess I'm speaking to a fantasy.
Right. Well, one day though, you can put it on your vision board.
Fall asleep for the last 45 minutes of a flight.
So I have a lot of questions. We do have to get to the question mark surrounding the protein bar, but let's first talk about I Said No Gifts.
Sure.
Your hit podcast, feature Apple Spotlight podcast.
Oh, bless them.
So I'm wondering about how the idea came about, because it seems like in some of the coverage I've seen about it, it is really treating it like you have it's really like you have a real issue around gifts. It is really like a serious, like it's exposure therapy for it's like an etiquette thing for someone who doesn't want gifts and stuff. But it strikes me as more like it was kind of like a funny title and it's like a fun. What's the truth?
I think it's somewhere in between. I think it was just a dumb idea I had. I had wanted to do a podcast but had no ideas. And then I was driving home from work one night and the idea kind of came to me and it was pretty self-explanatory from the very beginning. Like, that's the title, that's the concept, that's all we'll do. And it didn't really change from there. But I am someone who's... I think a lot of people are uncomfortable getting gifts. It's not like, I don't know many people who are like, I love to receive items in front of other people. But it is something that makes me uncomfortable. When somebody gives me a gift or a card or something at a party, I'm like, should I open this here or should I put this? I never know what to do. Maybe it's just because I don't know. My manners are all over the place. And so like this dumb idea became a thing that kind of speaks to how I interact with the world. But then it is just a very dumb podcast. People bring me a gift, I open it up, and we talk about it. For me, it was more just like, oh, this will be an idea that the guest gets to bring something they get to talk about, that they're hopefully excited to talk about. Mm-hmm. I mean, there have been guests who have brought things where I'm like, why did you bring this? You don't want to talk about this. You're not excited about this. So now you've brought a thing that neither of us wants to talk about. But for the most part, people do bring things that are either they find funny or that they're genuinely excited about, or like someone will bring something that's been good in their life. And like Beth, for example, it remains to be seen if it'll improve my life, the turtle, but it's definitely improved Beth's life. So it's kind of all over the place.
Got it.
Yeah. But of course, now with the internet and having to find hidden layers beneath every single piece of media and whatever, we've gotten into this thing where it's like, what's the serious reason behind this podcast? And mostly it's the reason is I'm an idiot and I had an idiotic idea. And now we've done it for over 2 years.
Well, it's interesting that you feel like you need to have sort of a special idea. Interesting and also smart, because here I am, not to make it about me, which I'm about
please
to.
Do it.
Yeah. With my show, which is really just an interview conversation show, in my day, you could do that. But
Not
I
anymore.
feel like you really can't anymore. But oftentimes I feel like you can't start a new one like that anymore. And also maybe I would be better served by not, I mean, I'm not thinking of changing mine or anything, but at the same time, like it is weird to have a show that doesn't have that particular angle, you know?
Well, but you've been just doing it for so long that you're good at it. And so for me, I had been on like 3 podcasts even prior to doing it. So it's like, I better have something to count on each episode other than just talking, because God knows if I'll even be able to carry a conversation. So it was not like a nice little safety net to begin with. And then I was like, oh, I enjoy doing this. But yeah, it does feel like, well, first of all, starting any type of podcast at this point feels like an impossibility because there are truly like 30 billion of them.
Yeah.
So I feel very lucky that anyone's even listening to mine. So I think that, but the thing that did help was there was a gimmick. Like, I guess you kind of have to have some little turn on a hook, some sort of hook.
Your elevator pitch.
You've got to have that elevator. You
pitch.
simply must have an elevator pitch.
So let's get in. No, I want to get into your backstory, but let's first, the question that everyone is dying to know. Did I get it right? Do you eat a protein bar when your body naturally wakes you up at 6:45 and you get excited to drink coffee and read chapter of a book and then the newspaper and then Wordle and Hurdle?
That was my morning. I eat a protein bar.
Okay, I was right.
I eat a protein bar,
okay, good.
yes.
Because my brain was saying, or is it cereal?
Oh, I haven't had cereal for breakfast since high school, probably.
Oh, my word.
Those were the days. But now I'm eating some type of protein bar every morning. That feels like a reasonable thing to eat as an adult, and it doesn't require any preparation. It's essentially just kind of mush for me to chew on while I read. The coffee is...
That's the commercial, right?
Looking directly into camera. It's the mush that I chew on while I read.
And, okay, so we know Tony eats a Quest bar.
I've never had a Quest bar. Is that a good bar?
I mean, they're passable.
Right. That's basically what I'm doing every morning.
There's different flavors, and yeah.
What flavor are you eating?
I've been doing the cookies and cream.
That sounds too sweet to me.
That's fair. That's fair.
What kind are you going for?
I'm getting like a chocolate peanut butter.
What brand, though?
I'll eat like a Think bar.
Oh,
There's
yeah,
Which
sure.
are kind of just bland, sweet enough, but a little bit salty. Nature Valley protein bar, I don't mind. That actually has like a nut in it, which is nice, a nice crunch. Those are the two I alternate between.
Okay.
I'm not, it's basically because those are the ones I'm aware of, and they're usually the ones on sale. That's also very important to me. So
I've been trying some protein shakes occasionally.
And you're making them in the morning?
No. Please. Please. No, I just mean like the ones that you buy and then you unscrew and then you sip. Like there's one by Fairlife that is vanilla.
Who makes the milk?
Yes, that's lower carb. Oh, does it smell?
Have you ever had that milk?
You have. I haven't noticed that it smells. What does it smell
I tried
like?
it. It smells like a swamp.
What?
It smells disgusting.
Wait,
My apologies to the Fairlife brand. It seems like they've got a good goal.
I'm going to have to go take a whiff of the protein shake and see if it also smells like a swamp. Wait, so I've had it's like 1% milk, and I smelled it yesterday to see if it was still good, and I didn't get a swamp
Interesting.
smell.
I wonder if I just drank bad
like
milk.
Swamp, like bad, but not rotten milk.
It doesn't smell like rotten milk. It smelled like truly a latrine. Like a swampy latrine.
Like algae and urine.
Yeah, like algae and shit. I'm sorry to the Fairlife brand. Again, my apologies. But
oh my God.
I drank it. I was like, I can't continue consuming this product. I didn't get sick, but I Googled it. I was like, is it supposed to smell bad? And there were a lot of Google searches saying, is it supposed to smell bad?
Oh my God. This is, I mean, first of all, Tony, there's a lot of drops that need to get played. And second of all, I have half mind to stop this interview right now and go Google this. I have no memory right now, but Swamp Fairlife. This is the kind of stuff I love.
But
Thank you.
You've had
I'm fine with it.
their protein shake?
Yeah.
And it's good.
It's pretty good. Okay. That, and then what's the other one? I'm forgetting, but they're all like 140 or 150 calories and like
right.
Low
That's
carb
the area we're looking for in the morning, right?
Yes.
Like a below 200 calorie, low carb, protein heavy
exactly
product.
That kind of situation. So you have your mush. What book are you reading?
I just finished Crying in H Mart by Michelle Zauner. Zauner. She is a musician who performs under the name Japanese Breakfast. This is it's a book essentially about her mom dying.
Oh.
And her kind of beginning of her music career, which it's fascinating. It's really great. She's Korean American. Her mom was a Korean woman, and her dad, I can't remember where they met, but it's just about her mom getting cancer and dying, and it's very poignant and lovely, and also largely about like Korean food and her memories of that with her mom and learning to cook it herself. And I thought it was just lovely. Very sweet, but also a very sad book to read every morning.
Sounds sad. What drew you to that book?
I had heard good things about it, and I like her as a musician, so I was like, why not? Mm-hmm. And it was very enlightening and a nice, I mean, despite being about the death of a parent, a fairly quick, breezy is probably not the right word for it, but in the morning I was like, I'm not going to be like chopping through weeds reading this book. It's going to be a nice, clear, concise read.
Yeah.
I really recommend it.
I'm very impressed that you're reading books.
I am too, to be honest. I mean, considering the rest of my day is completely wasted just staring at nonsense on my phone, it's shocking that I'm able to make it through even a chapter each morning. But
are you disciplined? Like you don't pick up your phone till after the mush and the book?
Yes, I'm
That's so good.
It's the only time of the day where I feel some level of control over that addiction.
Did you have to? Did you have to be like, did it not what am I trying to say? I cannot get the words under control here. Speaking of not having no control, did it used to not be like that? And then you had to create this routine to get your morning how you wanted it to be. That was not how I wanted that sentence to come out, but I think you know what I mean.
I can't remember when the routine began because there was the first period of my life in LA that was like from 2010 to about 2014 when I would wake up and like maybe 15 minutes before my job started and then go to work. And so there was no reading time then. So I guess it started when I got my first writing job, and my first writing job was at Jimmy Kimmel, and we had to start writing at 7 a.m. And so my days like that would begin with me waking up in a panic at 6 o'clock, drinking about 36 ounces of cold brew, writing for an hour before our work was due. And then I would have, I think, probably an hour and a half before I actually had to go into the office because our initial work was done from home and then emailed in. And so I think during that period, I had nothing else to do except for feel extremely jittery from all the coffee I had consumed. And so I had to fill it with something, and I started reading then. That makes about... I might be creating a fiction here, but that sounds like an explanation.
Right. But the not picking up the phone till after.
The picking up the phone is just something that I've been like, I know that the rest of my day, that's not going to make me happy. Mm-hmm. So why not push it off as long as possible? Even while I'm reading the book, I'll be like, should I look at my phone? Then I'll think, why not just read a few more pages before the day starts to fall apart?
That's so good. That's so good because
it feels good.
I have a real constant, no matter what I'm doing, I'm wanting to grab at my phone, and I'll be on my computer looking at a social media thing and wanting to grab. I mean,
of course,
it's very bad.
Just I want to see this thing on my computer on a different screen. It's so stupid. I've even during TV, a friend recommended leaving my phone in another room while I'm watching a movie, and let's be honest, I'm doing that about 30% of the time. But when I do it, it's amazing. I watch the movie.
Yeah. I have trouble.
Yeah, just putting some barrier between you and your phone. I don't know. It's a terrible thing.
It's really bad. Okay, so you grew up Salt Lake City.
Salt Lake City, right outside of Salt Lake City in a suburb called South Jordan.
Do you know these cookies that I'm talking about?
Of course. I mean, these have become popular since I left Utah. Mm-hmm. I think they probably rose in fame in 2013. I want to say that's when they first at least came onto my radar when I would go trips home. Started noticing these sugar cookies.
Do you have an opinion about whether Dutchman's or Swig originated them? Because
Dutchman's 100%.
Okay, yes. So Carly Wiesel, who she wrote a story about it for Eater, and then the package of stories, it was about gas station foods, just won an ASME, which is a big journalism award. But anyway, her story is sort of about this, about the popularity of the cookie in Utah, and and the conflict and like almost arms race between Dutchman's and Swig. But it's clear that she thinks that Dutchman's really originated, and she prefers Dutchman's.
Well, this is what I'll say is I have been aware of Dutchman's since I was a kid. Swig I've been aware of since 2013. So you tell me.
Burn.
Also,
Meow.
Swig is like also known for their soda.
Yes.
Which is also just such a bizarre thing in general. That whole element of Utah culture is so bizarre to me. But Swig, give me a break. There's no competition. Dutchman's has been around for a very long time, as far as I can tell.
Yeah.
And Swig seems like something they're like, let's serve soda and rip off Dutchman's.
Yes.
I mean, and then a bunch of people ripped off Swig, and now there's like a soda cookie shop on every corner in Utah.
Right. I have tried a dirty Diet Coke, though, and I did enjoy it.
What did you have in it?
I had, let's see if I remember. It was Diet Coke lime. No, Diet Coke, coconut Torani flavoring, lime, and heavy cream.
Oh my God, what is that?
It was
drink?
really good.
Why is there diet in there? Like, why not just use regular Coke for that?
I don't know, but I appreciated the DC. I don't know. Listeners of the show, we probably talked about it on the show, but it was at Jenna and Al's house. So there's my Monday show and then my Thursday show. My Thursday show is a group show.
Right.
Jenna and Al, who were regulars on the show for years, and then they moved to Georgia without even getting my permission. They are Mormon.
Oh my God. Okay.
And so they are all about, well, specifically I don't know if they're all about the dirty Diet Coke. They just know about dirty Diet Coke.
Right.
Jenna is all about fresh Diet Coke from McDonald's.
Oh, I had one on my way over here.
You did.
I've
I've never felt, and I'm sorry, I know this is controversial. I've never personally felt that Fountain Diet Coke is different.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. No question.
And she also loves Pebble Ice.
I can go either way.
Okay.
I don't mind a Pebble Ice. I'll take it if you got it. But people who are really committed to Pebble Ice, and like, it doesn't make that much of a difference.
She has her own Pebble Ice maker.
Wow.
Yeah, she's good. Yeah. She's into it. But anyway, through her, I knew already about like the whole dirty Diet Coke thing. But what was interesting to me is, so my best friend growing up was Mormon, but they were the kind of Mormons that like no caffeine at all. So then I was like shocked that Jenna drinks so much Diet Coke.
Right.
And then I found out it's not. So not all Mormons.
Right. Did you grow this best friend? Where did you grow up?
Orange County, California.
Okay. So I think a lot of Mormons outside of Utah are not all of them, but they'll either be way more moderate or they'll be far more into the rules of the religion.
Got it.
Whereas like in Utah, I would say Utah Mormons are not quite moderate Mormons, but they're a little bit
But they're not Jack Mormons, right?
They're not Jack Mormons. They're just slightly looser with the rules.
Right.
But the official rule is no hot drinks, and it becomes so confusing.
Yes.
Because that basically just means coffee or tea. And then people have somehow decided that's also caffeine.
Can you have hot cocoa?
You can have hot cocoa. That's where it gets very confusing. You can have hot apple cider. You can have hot drink. So
it's just not hot caffeinated drinks.
Or cold or cold coffee or cold tea.
Got it.
It's but of course it varies from Mormon to Mormon.
Yes.
My mom drinks hot tea, but it's uncaffeinated hot tea, but she'll drink Diet Coke.
Could you have decaf coffee?
No.
Okay.
It makes it may come as a surprise, but some of the rules make absolutely no sense. But yeah, that's my family was one of the ones that could drink caffeinated soda.
Got it.
But not coffee.
So you grew up in the Mormon faith, not yet eating the Dutchman's cookies, not at that time. And then at what point did you leave the Mormon faith? And what was that like for you?
I left, officially, I left in 2016. But
that's fairly recently.
Yeah, fairly recently, but that was just like on the books, left the church. I had stopped practicing in probably 2005, 2004-ish. That's like when the exit began. I had been on a Mormon mission, which was supposed to be 2 years. I left 4 months in after I had a panic attack, like a complete nervous breakdown, which is not a good move within Mormonism. Like socially, it kind of casts a shadow on you.
Are you supposed to be stoic?
Yes, and like every male in Utah is just kind of assumed they'll go on a Mormon mission for 2 years instead of going to college. For the college gets delayed, and I think that kind of plays into people getting trapped in the church. But I went and was not entirely convinced of it, largely because, and again, I didn't come out for years and years and after, but like the knowledge of like I know I'm not normal. I like the idea of being gay was way off the radar for me, but I was like, there's something going on. And so like that was like the key that unlocked all of the logic of the religion for me, where I was like, well, if I'm this and they tell me I'm not, if I'm gay and they say gay isn't a real thing, then like my reality, one of these realities is not true. And it feels like my personal experience is true rather than this thing that like a 90-year-old prophet's telling me.
Was that agonizing?
It was horrible.
Yeah.
I mean, it was terrible for years and years. I mean, it's like my life is what it is and I'm very happy where I am now. But like, sometimes I'll think like, what would my middle school experience have been if I had known, if people had just, been positive about my sexuality or like acknowledged that I was a real person? What would have high school have been? Like, what would have college have been? It's like, there's obviously nothing I can do about it now. But I probably wouldn't be in LA right now or like doing my dream job if it hadn't been for all of that shit. But also I might be a better adjusted person.
Yeah.
The first 30 years of my life probably would have been much more pleasant. I lived in LA for 5 years before I even came out, so I was extremely lonely. It was terrible. Like when I don't know. The Mormon Church I have an enormous amount of problems with. I know a lot of Mormons who I love dearly, but for a long time I was like, even after having left the religion, I was very quiet about my opinion of the church, but now I'm like, it's $1 billion corporation that made my life hell, has driven a lot of people, I mean, and I don't want to get too dark or anything, but like to suicide. Like it's ruined lives because it's run by a bunch of backwards, shitty people. And I'm glad, I feel very lucky to have gotten out of it. And I hope that my experience, I hope that other Mormon, like if I can help one other Mormon feel like, oh, there is a way out that doesn't end in doing meth, I hope that that'll help. But yeah, not a great religion, I'll say.
And how was your family about it all?
They were wonderful.
That's great.
I was terrified. I went home for Christmas in 2015, and I had been with my current boyfriend for like a year, and I was home for like a week, and the last day or before I was supposed to come back to LA, I packed my bags and I was like, I'm gonna tell my parents and we'll just see where we go from here. And just expect, because I've seen it go in a million different directions, like bad, very bad to good. And my parents are, as lovely as they are very conservative and still believe in the religion. So I thought this could blow up in my face and they could ask me to leave. And then they were fantastic. My dad especially really surprised me because he's, like a, very traditionally male, like Utah man, owns a bunch of guns. And he was so sweet and lovely. And then my mom was very lovely. She was a little distant at first. She had some, a lot of questions, just like was not completely, she just hasn't had a lot of exposure to the gay community out. And so like she had some questions which were probably inappropriate, but I was so happy she was asking them. It's like, oh, so you just don't know. And like, this is not clear to you. And they were terrific. And then they met my boyfriend a year later, which was shortly after the election of Donald Trump. And it was a very contentious time between my parents and I. But my boyfriend is a very gregarious, loud, Italian from New Jersey, and won them over immediately. And so it just normalized it. And for the most part, every Mormon that's been in my life has accepted me and been wonderful about it. I mean, there are probably Mormons out there from my past or whatever that are like, "Oh, did you hear about Bridger?" But who gives a shit?
I am wondering what kind of questions your mom asked you, but I feel like it might not be right for me to ask you that question. So if it's too personal, you 1,000% don't have to answer it.
I will. No, I can tell you. I mean, I will say, like, my mom meant well, and I'm very happy she asked. But there were questions like, "Were you molested?" Like things like trying to reason, like, "Oh, like, is his brain broken? Like, was his brain broken as a kid, and so that's why he's behaving this way?" Things that, like, she was like looking for logic for me to be gay rather than just the fact that I'm gay.
Right.
I was not molested, obviously. Like, there was no like trigger or anything that turned me gay. I think she was looking for things like that, which just like went to show that like she just wasn't familiar with it.
Right.
And
like in her way of thinking, it's the idea that you're born that way. She wasn't there yet.
Right. And I mean, I don't know where she stands quite right now, but she's so accepting of me and my boyfriend and so lovely. And I think she's evolved enormously. And I was happy that she asked those questions. And I would much rather her have asked than had a bunch of preconceived notions that she just kept from me. Yeah.
Because it shows that she's trying to connect.
Right. And so, yeah, it's worked out. I don't know.
Good.
I feel extremely lucky because, again, like I saw kids sent to like conversion therapy and all of that nonsense. So, I mean, that was a large part of the reason that I just waited and waited and waited until I knew that I could like, it wasn't until I got my first writing job where I was like, oh, I know I'll be able to live independently. I don't have to count on my family for anything anymore. If this, because up until then I was like, what if this LA fantasy of getting a job doesn't work out and I have to move back to Utah? Like I was afraid I was going to be shunned or whatever. Mm-hmm. So once I had that feeling of like, I'm completely independent person, I can count on myself, I felt ready to tell them.
Mm-hmm. I want to get into your interest in becoming a writer and in entertainment, like your career path, but I just wanted to go back and ask a question about something you had said, because the way you said it was interesting to me. You said a couple things about that, like in the religion, this idea that people like you aren't a real thing or don't exist. And it made me wonder sort of what in the religion you were learning, like what the idea of gay people is, because I thought the way that you put it, like, oh, people like me don't exist, as opposed to like people like me are sinful or something. Like, do they believe that gay people don't exist? Or
no? I mean, they do believe they exist, but they believe it's entirely a decision, a choice, a lifestyle choice. That,
I see what you mean. Don't exist as something natural,
right? So it was like. They also have that horrible hate the sin, not the sinner philosophy, which just makes me want to throw up everywhere.
Right.
So like that, knowing that was a choice, or thinking that was a choice, made it think like, well, this reality of mine doesn't actually exist. I'm like, somehow I'm the one broken of all of these, because if I were gay, I would have had to choose this. Which is, I mean, it's even as I'm saying, I'm like, what are we talking about? This is so confusing. The logic of all that nonsense is so obnoxious. But
it's such a fucking mindfuck burden to put on a young person.
I know, it's so unfair.
Who's just trying to like live their life.
It's so confusing.
Love someone. Yeah. How did you meet your boyfriend?
Tinder. I had been on a bunch of terrible Tinder dates and almost canceled on him. I was like, he seems kind of obnoxious over Tinder because he's overwhelming, and messaged a lot with a lot of kind of sincere emoji work, which is not quite my thing. So I was like, this guy can't possibly be worth meeting. And then I met him, and he was that person in person, which is a lot of fun and like just a nice presence to be around. He's very sincere and kind of loud and over the top, which he's aware of because he's very Jersey Italian, and it made him very easy to love immediately.
That's so sweet. Bridger, that's the kind of memory that you would want to keep forever. And you know how you might want to keep that memory forever? I would recommend something like Storyworth. I don't know if you're familiar with Storyworth. It's this great service. You subscribe to it. You give it to someone you love. They send them a prompt every week with a question, and then the person writes in with their response to the question, or they can call it in. At the end of a year, they take all of the stories and they put it into a hardbound book. So you have a book of memories, and it is a wonderful keepsake heirloom to pass down to generations. It makes a wonderful Mother's Day. I thought I knew my mom better than anyone. One day we were chatting and I heard a story I'd never heard before. That got me wondering, how many other stories don't I know? That's why I got my mom Storyworth. Look, I just told you guys what Storyworth is. I've mentioned Storyworth a bunch on this show. Every time I do, people go out, they get Storyworth for a loved one, and then I get a flurry of, I should set up a special email address just to talk about Storyworth, because I get so many responses and I love each and every one of them from people saying how much Storyworth was an amazing gift, because it is. It's just the best. It's so look, I could talk all day. Tony, I'm going to start a podcast just to talk about Storyworth.
All right. You need a producer?
I do. Do you know someone?
Yeah, I know a guy.
It really is. It's just such a good, it's just wonderful, because you don't want to lose stories. You want to keep them. Give all the moms in your life a meaningful gift you'll both cherish for years. Storyworth. Right now, for a limited time, you'll save $10 on your first purchase when you go to storyworth.com/bestfriend. That's story, STORY, worth, WORTH.com/bestfriend to save $10 on your first purchase. Storyworth.com/bestfriend. I also want to tell you guys about Ring Alarm Pro. I'm sure we all know about the Ring video doorbell by now. I can't imagine my life without it. But something you may not know, Ring makes an alarm. It's true. They make an alarm. Ring Alarm is an award-winning home security system with available professional monitoring when you subscribe. Best of all, you can easily install it yourself. And Ring didn't stop there. They've changed the home security game with Ring Alarm Pro. That's why I decided to work with Ring to put a ring of security around my home with the new Ring Alarm Pro. Ring Alarm Pro is next level security. CNET calls Ring Alarm Pro a giant leap for home security. Allison Rosen calls it that too. And after using it, they're right. Ring Alarm Pro helps secure my entire home and the Wi-Fi it runs on. With Ring Alarm Pro, Ring combined a home security system and a Wi-Fi router. So this thing helps protect my home and secure your network. So now I have a secure network with a crazy strong signal for all the devices across my home. And if you're anything like me, that's a lot of devices. I told you, Daniel's dream for this home was that everything would run off of his phone. Not my phone, his phone. And now we have that. And he's so happy. But now it's all secure because of our Ring Alarm Pro. So when we're traveling, everything at home is protected and connected, and it'll stay that way. With a Ring Alarm Pro subscription, which is an amazing deal, by the way, you get professional monitoring for the ultimate peace of mind. And if anything happens, professional monitoring will call you, and you can request emergency services. I love Ring Alarm Pro. I am such a Ring Alarm Pro fan. When we moved into this house, we wanted an alarm system. I did not want to go with one of the other big names, those services where you have to call them and they come out. And then if anything goes wrong, it takes forever to get them back out. And you're in a relationship with them and you don't want to be. And then I found out that Ring, who I already was a big fan of because of their doorbell, I found out they have an alarm system. We went out, we got it. Daniel installed it himself. It was super easy. And we have just been rocking and rolling ever since. That's right. You too can rock and roll. You may not have known, but it's true. Ring has an award-winning alarm. And to protect my home, I've gone pro with Ring Alarm Pro. To learn more, go to ring.com/bestfriend. That's ring.com/bestfriend. Okay. Bridger. So, okay, you're growing up in Utah. When did you take an interest in becoming a writer, comedy, entertainment, all that?
I would say, like, I didn't really know it was a job or an attainable job until late in college. I was interested in doing silly things or making people laugh for a long time, but it never seemed like a remote possibility of something I could actually do. And through high school and college, I thought I mean, I had heard of directing, so I thought, oh, maybe I could be a director. Did nothing to pursue that outside of making the occasional video here or there. And then somehow became aware of, like, obviously you know these things on television or written or whatever, but I guess through late night TV, you would see like Letterman would bring one of his writers on or something, and I'd be like, oh, that's the person I would want to be. And then I figured out how to do that there were internship possibilities, and so started applying to various programs and applied to Letterman a few times. And I think on my third time, they accepted me into their internship, and I just felt like I had won a sweepstakes. And so I went and interned for their writers department, which was good and bad. And that was the first time where I was like, oh, maybe I can get into this business without my uncle being a producer on something or having any sort of in anywhere. I was at the University of Utah and didn't know a single person in the entertainment industry. So it was like that combined with like Twitter as a joke platform, where it's like, oh, I can learn how to write jokes. It took me a really long time. Those things kind of converging to make me feel like there was even a small possibility of making money doing it. And then it slowly worked out. So
good and bad, Letterman, why?
I mean, it was a toxic workplace. It was an angry, unhappy place that I think essentially no one was happy there. I mean, he certainly wasn't. I'm sure he would probably admit that at this point. I think just from afar, you can see that he's like evolved as a person and seems to be in a better headspace. But when I was working there, he did not seem like a happy person at all. I mean, my interactions with him were pretty good, thank God. I got to be on the show a couple of times, which was just wild. And he seemed to enjoy me from the small glimpse he got of me. But like every day as an intern there, I felt like I was being hazed, and that was difficult. Yeah. Everyone was incredibly stressed and afraid for their jobs or whatever. It just didn't seem like a happy place to be. But for me, it was, and also like, obviously I just had zero money. I was eating like crackers for lunch every day. And so there was that part, but then it was like, this is as close to my dream as at that point as I had gotten. So I didn't take it for granted, and I just dealt with the huge amount of torture that I had to deal with.
Was it good-natured hazing or no?
It was. I think all hazing sucks. Yeah. I mean, it's all so bad. It didn't make me feel good. It made me feel...
So it was like bullying.
Yeah. I mean, there was a decent amount of what felt like bullying, which was not great. But then there were the upsides of the job of like, oh, now I'm on TV. I'm playing Alan Coulter's son on the show. It's like, this is something I could have never, in my wildest fantasy, have thought would come true. So the stuff that made me want to cry and just not be there, I just put up with.
And... was that like from other producers and things?
It was, I mean, I was in the writers department, and it was, there were some very sweet writers, and there were some writers that were less fun to be around. I mean, a lot of them, though, are some of the sweetest people, but they were just, it was not a happy atmosphere to be in.
And then where did you go from there?
I went home. I graduated from the University of Utah in English, and
I was an English major.
Oh,
but I don't read like you. I mean, I try, but
I certainly didn't read during college. I don't know how I got my English degree, but I did. And then I worked as a copywriter for Overstock.com for maybe 2 years, year and a half or something. And then just during that time kept telling people, oh, I'm going to move to LA. I'm going to move to LA, and then didn't. And eventually it started to feel embarrassing that I hadn't moved to LA. And so it kind of, my back was against the wall, and I moved out here and got a job as a production assistant, which lasted far longer than I expected it to.
Where was that?
It was at Craig Ferguson.
Okay.
And so I was there.
Now you're again at late night.
Yeah, late. Yeah, that show was produced by Letterman, so that was like my in there. And I was there for like, I think 4.5 years, to the point where I was like, oh, well, I moved to LA and tried. I guess it's time to wrap it up. And then truly maybe a month later.
Wait, you felt like you need to wrap it up because you were still a production assistant?
Yeah, and I had watched other friends or whoever start to get actual writing jobs, and it was like in much shorter period of time, and it felt like my opportunities had passed me by. It was like there had been a couple like slight window openings that was like, oh, that could be a writing job, and then it didn't materialize. And so it was like, well, it seemed like I gave it a shot, and it didn't work out. And 4.5 years of not making a lot of money and being kind of miserable, and also being, extremely lonely. I wasn't out yet, so I wasn't dating. And so I was like, well, I guess it's time to go back to Utah or whatever. And
sorry, I asked you a question. Now I'm interrupting you. When you say you weren't out yet, though, but you weren't out yet, but were you to yourself?
No.
So you did not identify to yourself as gay either.
Not really. Maybe
Okay.
Just like the shadow of it. But like I dated two women. That was like the final straw, basically, where I was like, I'm going to at least give that a shot, because maybe I'm not gay, and it's just because I haven't dated a woman yet. And then, of course, as we know, that doesn't work, and made me feel like a complete psycho. Or I was like, I'm now in a relationship with someone that I'm not attracted to. What am I doing? And that's when I finally really did come out to myself. Where I was like, okay, I gave it a shot. I tested. I gave it an honest go. Obviously, I'm gay. Yeah, but then it was still a few years before I actually did anything with that information that I just held a secret, which is Mormonism.
Yeah.
Just kept a real grasp on me.
Were you in therapy or anything?
No.
That's a lot.
It's
a lot.
It's crazy. I mean, it's wild that I went through it and made it out. I know, and I just feel very lucky that it didn't end in a worse way.
Yeah.
But now, it's just I dealt with it. I guess I'm just very good at putting up with just terrible misery.
But it, like you had started to say at the beginning, it is a really hopeful story to other people who might be struggling out there.
I hope so. I hope that because, for me growing up, I had never heard of a Mormon that of this path for them. I had no idea that was even a thing you could do. And there was no real guiding light for me or whatever. The only people who I knew had come out, it had blown up in their face. So I was like, well, that's going to happen to me. So I hope that at least somebody at some point that my little story is helpful.
I think so. I had started to I didn't start to cut you off. I fully cut you off. You were saying about a month after you decided, let's wrap it up, something happened.
Right. I had started researching social media jobs in Utah, and just this is it. And then my friend was like, just hang on a little longer. And Jimmy Kimmel reached out to me through Twitter and
wow,
basically hired me. It took, it was over the course of a month or so, but he reached out and was like, I really like your tweets and think you're funny. Are you working? Are you working as a writer? And I told him no. And he's like, set up some meetings set up a meeting, which was a full month later, which was very stressful for me as far as tweeting goes, because I was like, this guy's looking at my things. This is the final boat out. What do I do? So I was very careful to think of the funniest possible things I could for the span of about 30 days. Just total freak out the entire time. And then I went and met him at his office, and he was lovely, and he just said, we just want to make sure you're not a psycho. And then they hired me, and it just completely turned everything around for me.
And that was in 2014?
The fall of 2014.
That must have been so exciting when Jimmy Kimmel, did he direct message you?
Yes.
That's crazy.
So bizarre and just surreal. And I went into a full panic about how to respond. Unfortunately, I was with a friend at the time, and he was just like, just say thank you. I was like, well, that didn't occur to me to just thank someone. So I said thank you, and that little bit of another person's normal brain helping my situation got the wheels rolling.
So then you started working at, that's so nice. So then you started working at Jimmy Kimmel.
Yes.
For how long were you there?
I was there for like a year and a half. I had no like the fact that I had gotten a writing job, I hadn't planned any further past that. I was like, if I get a writing job on a late night show like Letterman, that's all I need to do for the rest of my life. I would have been perfectly happy doing that, especially for Jimmy, who's so lovely. But I did that for a year and a half, and that was right headed into the 2016 election, which the job became a lot more stressful because every day basically required thinking about Donald Trump even more than a normal person, which was not exactly joyful. But that coincided with this opportunity came along to work at Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, which was like another dream had been like, if I could ever work on 30 Rock, what a dream that would be. The show obviously was off the air at that point, and Kimmy was like, oh, so this is basically like getting to go work on 30 Rock. Sure, I'll take that opportunity. I felt bad. I was like, Jimmy gave me this writing job. I feel terrible leaving it, but he was so supportive and fantastic. And so that got me into the sort of TV writing I'm doing now.
That's great. Did you work with Jack Burdett?
I didn't. He was, I think he was on season 1 and 2 of Kimmy, and I've worked with him just on like a fundraising show at one point. He's such a nice guy.
Yeah.
And from what my light experience and just from what I've heard, unbelievably funny.
Yeah, he's great. So Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, and then where'd you go from there?
I worked on Kimmy for the 3rd season. I made my boyfriend move to New York. We sold everything, moved there, and then the show went on a 10-month hiatus. And I was like, okay, well, this is not ideal. So we moved. I was like, let's just move back to LA, and have that be our permanent place. If I go back to Kimmy, I'll just do that. I'll bounce around the country or whatever. And in the meantime, I got this job at a show called Corporate on Comedy Central that my friends created, and that was fantastic. And then Kimmy called that fall, and Robert Carlock, who's one of the co-showrunners and creators of that show, and he called and he's like, "We're excited to have you back." And I was like, that was the first year that I started making decisions where I was like, I'm going to do something that feels like for my long-term happiness will feel good. And I was like, I can't do this. I can't come back to New York in the winter. I loved the show and I loved everyone there, and it was such an incredible opportunity. And I think that obviously Robert and Tina Fey are two of the smartest, funniest people I've ever worked with. But I was like, I don't think I can move back there and like sublet a place without my boyfriend this time. Like I'm going to have to stay in LA, which was scary. Like my agents were like, you can't do this. It's going to ruin your career. And like you can't say no to this job. And it's like, I feel like I kind of have to. I feel bad, and I would have loved to continue working on the show and with them, but I was just like, I can't bounce around the country anymore. I prefer to live in LA, and it feels just slightly easier for how my brain operates here. So I turned it down, and then just prayed that someone else would hire me. And Robert Carlock on the phone was so sweet and so gracious, and he was like, well, we're going to tell all of Hollywood we fired you, which made me feel nice. So I was like, I appreciated that he kind of knew how terrified I was that I was leaving this opportunity behind. And then I marched off into looking for other writing jobs, which was scary and fortunately worked out.
Yeah. And so what are you doing now?
I just worked on this new Netflix show called Blockbuster that'll hopefully be out in the fall. The creator Vanessa Ramos and the co-showrunner Jackie Clark are just two of the sweetest, funniest people I've ever worked with. And it's like a workplace thing that I think is going to be very fun and silly, and set in the last Blockbuster store on the planet. So,
I love that.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it.
Bridger and Tony, if you've been looking to level up your financial portfolio, it's always good to diversify. Why not think about cryptocurrency? Backed by the world's leading investors, Coinbase keeps your portfolio safe and secure while adding crypto into your mix. I think cryptocurrency is interesting, and I'm excited to learn more about it with Coinbase. They make it easy to check out all in one place. I personally have felt intimidated by it in the past. However, I look forward to learning about it via Coinbase. They offer a trusted, easy-to-use platform to buy, sell, and spend cryptocurrency. They support the most popular digital currencies on the market and make them accessible to everyone. They offer portfolio management and protection, learning resources, and a mobile app so you can trade securely and monitor your crypto all in one place. Millions of people in over 100 countries trust Coinbase with their digital assets. Whether you're looking to diversify, just getting started, or searching for a better way to access crypto markets, start today with Coinbase. For a limited time, new users can get $10 in free Bitcoin when you sign up today at Coinbase.com/Allison. Sign up at Coinbase.com/Allison for $10 in free Bitcoin. This offer is for a limited time only, so be sure to sign up today. That's Coinbase.com/Allison. Okay, we're back. So I gave you no warning about a segment that we sometimes do.
Oh, I love this.
I know. It's called Hey, Go Fuck Yourself.
Oh, perfect.
This is a segment where you can tell someone to get fucked. Is there anyone or anything working your nerves? And I'm going to give you a little bit of time to think about it. And while you think about it, Tony, could you play one of our game show sounds?
Mm-hmm.
I can't. You choose which one. Well, that's not the one I was thinking of.
You said choose one.
Well, you chose wrong. I
you
feel
want
like
thinking music?
Yeah, I want thinking music.
Okay, that's what I thought at first, but then the way you presented that.
You misinterpreted.
This is on you.
This is classic in-person confusion. Yeah, this is good. Think about something that's pissing you off. Could be a situation, could be a person.
I think I've got one.
Okay, great. He's got one. Okay, so the way this works is you tell us about the person and why they're pissing you off. And then at the end, you say, hey, name of person. And then Tony will play a drop.
Okay, perfect.
It'll be so much fun.
Okay, it's going to require a little bit of explanation if that's okay.
Oh, yeah, that's what we're here for.
Okay, well, are you familiar with the Queen of Versailles? The documentary about the woman who created the biggest mansion in America.
I have heard of it, and I think I've seen the beginning of it, but that's the extent of my familiarity.
Okay, this woman, Jackie Siegel, and her husband, David Siegel, I believe, are two unbelievably wealthy, tasteless people who have been, over the last 20 years, trying to build their dream home, Versailles, which they're calling Versailles, which is... They've been slowly building on a swamp in Florida. And there's a documentary that I think about 2009 was released about them trying to build this house. They ran out of money. With the financial collapse, they had to stop construction. But they haven't given up the dream. Over the last 10 years or so, they've been kind of, I guess, circling the house, just waiting to start building again. They have this timeshare business that they run that has made them wealthy again. So they've got the money back. Jackie now has a reality series called The Queen of Versailles Reigns Again. I've started watching it, and Jackie has wanted to build a Benihana-style kitchen in her house, apparently since day one.
Oh, wow.
Episode 2, she finds out from a variety of people that she's not allowed to build the Benihana kitchen in her 90,000 square foot home. So now do I say who the person who should go fuck off is?
Yeah.
All of the people telling Jackie she can't have the Benihana style kitchen.
Hey, go fuck yourself.
This woman has been telling everyone in her life it's been her dream to have the hibachi grill, the giant ventilator, the restaurant-style seating for her family and friends to enjoy, a Japanese chef slicing and dicing things on this grill for her, and now suddenly she has to tear down the whole kitchen because apparently it'll make her whole house smell like a restaurant.
But why can't she have it? I don't understand.
A variety of reasons, apparently.
What kind of code is preventing her from having her dream?
Apparently there's some sort of code that says you can't have this style of grill or ventilator or something in your... You have to have a professional, license or something.
Oh.
But apparently there's also the obvious problem of it making your whole house smell like a restaurant, which...
But I feel like that's her choice.
It also feels kind of in line with the way she lives her life. She's got birds everywhere. Yeah. She's like, her current house looks filthy.
Birds, actually.
Wait, what's that?
I feel like it might be bad for her birds.
Well, I think it would be separate from the bird.
Okay.
She has birds in her what she calls her morning kitchen. She has a giant bird cage in there. But I think the Benihana thing would be probably on the other side of the house from the kitchen. But now I have watched the heartbreaking deconstruction of half a Benihana kitchen. I've watched Jackie almost cry. Meanwhile, her dog has died. We've watched it die in her arms.
Oh my God.
This show is bonkers.
Do I need to watch this show?
It's hard to say. I think it's actually kind of a bad show, and
not good bad.
It's like not good. It's kind of dull. It's not like Housewives fun,
right?
Where it's a little like just watching this lady make bad decisions and her weird kids kind of like the artificial reality show arguments that they kind of cook up for her to have. The documentary's worth watching because it's like a more tastefully made thing about tacky people. This is just a tacky reality show about tacky people.
Wait, we got to go back. The dog died in her arms, like they euthanized him in her arms?
No,
what happened?
I'm pretty sure I kind of spaced out while I was watching it, but I'm pretty sure this dog just dies, or maybe she just holds it dead. I mean, again, this is dark stuff to watch. Just like,
I
there's
can't
just reality show footage of like, here's the dead dog, and then they bury it somewhere like next to a chain link fence on their property. It's
as one does.
She keeps it in a freezer as well. Like she freezes it and.
Oh my God.
It's but this is all the world of Jackie Siegel. You know, she's got endless wealth and a very limited everything else.
We found a turtle shell in our backyard.
Oh.
Yeah, and I was like, what is going on? And then it occurred to us it was probably a previous homeowner's
it was
pet.
buried.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, we redid the backyard, so I think it had... I'm trying to remember now. It was like in the flower bed. It wasn't like just sitting atop there with a note that says "you" with a knife stuck in it or something. No, I mean, it was pretty on the surface level. I mean, maybe it had a little dirt on it. I think it was pretty like superficial.
No,
but
there were no other turtle remains?
No, just the shell. And the shell like had like a bit of it had been removed. I think it was old, but that was our assumption that at some point it was someone's pet that had been buried.
Where's the shell now?
That's a good... I think maybe in the trash. I can't remember.
That feels like a show and tell thing. Take it to school and show everyone, look, this turtle shell I found in my mom's yard.
I know.
But probably also hygienically, maybe not.
I thought it was pretty gross.
Yeah.
I was not excited by it. No. Tony, do you happen to have a "Hey, go fuck yourself"? You don't have to. But I just want to give you an opportunity.
I wasn't expecting this. No, I'm trying to keep it positive, man.
I'm trying to think if I do. You'd think I would. I mean, when we were on vacation, this story does not make me sound like I'm in a good place. Because I try to be very COVID safe. I only wanted to eat outdoors.
Right.
But you can't always only eat outdoors. So when we couldn't, but many of the restaurants, I mean, it's Hawaii. So many of the places are like, you know, there's like a roof, but it's all open on all the sides. So I'm like, okay, well, that's pretty almost outdoors. Or it's a place where like the, you know, big floor to ceiling windows. So we'd want to sit near a window. Inside, but like right by the window. So this one restaurant we went to, you couldn't get a reservation anywhere basically because it was like everywhere was at capacity, which is fun in a pandemic. But you could sit in the bar lounge area. So I had called from our room. It was in the hotel. I had called from our room and they put our name on the list. And I had said, you know, if possible, could we sit by a window? And we get there and they have our table, but it's like sort of in the middle of the restaurant. And so we had the debate that we have everywhere of like, can I get over my anxiety, or am I going to ruin everyone's experience? And I don't just mean me, my husband, and Elliot. Owen and my mother-in-law was with us. We're still in the room. So I don't just mean the three of our experience. I mean the entire restaurant. Am I going to ruin everyone in Hawaii's vacation with my anxiety? Or can I get over it and like, can we have a nice meal? And it's just I'm exaggerating. It's really just a me thing. So we decided we would sit there, but I'm trying to make this fast. I'm not doing a good job. But anyway,
soaking it up.
The host. So I had said to the hostess, like, is there any way we could? There were like a couple tables by the window, but they each seated 5 people. Mm-hmm. So is there any way we could possibly sit by a window? I imagine these are probably reserved. And she had said that if this party doesn't show up in the next 10 minutes, you can sit here. So I was like, I think we're going to be able to sit there. And then all of a sudden, there were 3. I guess they did show up, but there were 3 people sitting there. And I was like, I spent a good 25 minutes just ruminating on how did these 3 people get that table when I had requested. And I mean, I was like obsessed with how did they get that. I mean, I was like, and then I was like, well, I guess this is good that I'm this far into the vacation mentality that I'm not thinking about my podcast or anything related to my life at home. I'm just completely obsessed with this insane restaurant situation. And I even said to Daniel, I was like, what's the respectful way to ask her how this situation happened? And he was like, just say, like, I'm just wondering for next time, did they call ahead and request? And anyway, I like about a minute and a half later, I was like, I'm going to let this one go. And I was totally able to get past it. And I think it's because Daniel like stepped into the insanity with me and was like, really thought it out with me. And for some reason, then I was just like, I don't need to know the answer to this. I'm going to let it go.
Yeah, I was going to say, this sounds like your lift rating all over again.
Oh my God, I forgot about that. Do you know what your lift rating is?
I don't want to know. I simply don't want to know.
Mine is like, what was it, like a 4.8?
It was like just under 5.
It was 4.8.
Like, it wasn't
That's
bad.
great.
I know.
That's excellent.
That was my first reaction. But then I'm like, wait a minute. Someone didn't give me a 5. Why?
Have you spent much time lifting in New York?
No, I haven't been in New York in a while.
I will say, I think Uber and Lyft drivers in New York are harsher rating critics than in LA.
But what could I possibly have done wrong? It's me. I'm lovely. I try to do everything right.
You're also leaving out the best part of all this.
Oh,
she actually contacted Lyft to try and find out.
Allison, you between the Hawaii story and now this is a full White Lotus character.
I know.
This is a pineapple sweet situation.
I hated that I related to that aspect of that character. I was like, have you seen White Lotus, Tony?
I haven't.
Oh, it's so good.
Well, you have now. You
work for. Oh my God! Did you enjoy it?
I loved it.
So much. Yeah, I loved it so much. But yeah, when I was watching that, I was just, because it's not framed in like a good way that this guy, this like pretty loathsome character, just becomes obsessed. Like he kind of ruins this part of his honeymoon because he's just obsessed with why did they not get the suite they booked. And they got a really nice suite, but it's not the one they booked. And I'm just like, that's me. That would so do that. Anyway, yeah, I'm fun. Yeah, I called Lyft.
What did they tell you?
They cannot reveal anything. So I was like, what? I'm like, is there any way you could just tell me, like, is it like one person who gave me a bad rating, or is it like a few people who gave me a low rating, or could you just tell me like what date it was? Because, there were a couple times that I like bought Lyft rides for other people. So I was like, if I knew the date, No, and he or she, I can't remember, they just kept repeating, like, we're not at liberty to give that information out, ma'am. I'm sorry, we're not at liberty to give that information out.
Oh, I would love to have been that Lyft representative. To just be looking at the computer.
To just be like, I could give, I know.
I can't tell you.
I know.
I'm looking at it right now, and I'd love to tell you, but I can't.
And she's like,
simply can't.
I know. And by the way, like, I'm sure she's like, if I could give you a rating, lady, like, you're not pleading your case very well. I'm surprised you have a 4.8. It's funny when I hear it said back to me and then I hear myself tell the story. Even I can't believe I did that.
I love it.
Thank you.
You gotta defend yourself. I bet you're a perfect Lyft writer.
I really tried.
I can't imagine you're a troublesome Lyft writer.
I really tried to be. Wait, are you being insincere?
No, I'm being completely sincere. I mean, now I'm thinking about it. The Hawaii story. I'm like, no, I bet you're a great, considerate.
I tried
clean.
to be.
Like, what could you have done?
The only thing I can think of.
Do you backseat drive?
No. Well, I mean, there was one time a long time ago where someone was driving me to the airport and the guy was texting the whole time and it made me nervous, but I didn't even say anything about it.
Right.
But I mean, maybe he could tell I was nervous, but I don't think it's that. No, there was one time that we did take a Lyft to the airport and we had to, did we have to put in a car seat? And that might have taken a little bit of extra time, but I think we tipped well. So I don't think it was that guy.
Right.
I don't know. I really think it's, sexism and anti-Semitism.
It probably is. That probably
Maybe it was a disgruntled a disgruntled Adam Carolla fan. That's probably what it was.
It was Adam himself.
He's driving Lyft now. Did you know? I don't know. Listen, this was delightful.
Oh,
Thank you
such a fun
so
time.
much. Tell everyone where they can find you. Plug all your stuff.
You can listen to my podcast called "I Said No Gifts." If this episode of Allison's lovely podcast, me being a guest here, hasn't annoyed you too much, I do a weekly show. It's around an hour long. You can hear me chat with people, and then find me on Instagram. Or don't stay off the internet. That's I'm trying to just everybody do something else, but listen to my podcast.
Yeah.
Sure.
But before you do something else, make sure you're subscribed to our podcast.
Of course.
Yes.
Review Allison's podcast.
Please,
Leave a nice.
Helps. Yes.
Do 5 stars. Don't do 4 stars.
Don't
do
4.
a 5.
If you do 4, you know I'm going to call you.
That's so rude. That's really rude. 4 is a good review, but why not just go the extra?
Thank you.
This podcast deserves 5 stars.
And a nice comment. I read them on the show sometimes.
Subscribe.
Listen to my other shows, Childish and Upworthy Weekly. And I'm on Patreon, patreon.com/Allison Rosen. Patreon. Bonus stuff. There's a level where I'll text you and you can text me and I'll text you back. That's how it works. And if you sign up for a year, you get 2 months free. So it's 12 months for the price of 10.
That's a good deal.
That's right. Patreon.com/Allison Rosen. And I feel as if I'm forgetting things. Follow me on social media at Allison Rosen on Twitter and Instagram. Tony, what about you?
I'm on Twitter and Instagram at
Tony Thaxton.
And Bizarre Albums every Tuesday. And if you live in the LA area, I'll be playing with Don't Stop or We'll Die and Townland on May 3rd at the Federal. I think that's the F. I was mixing those up. The Federal in North Hollywood. So come out to that. I'll be playing with both bands.
And if you listen to this on the week it comes out, the group show this week, we're doing something wild and crazy.
That's right.
I've handed over the booking reins to Tony. You might have seen our social media promo. It's Tony's picks.
I mean, it broke the internet.
It broke the internet. That's
People
right.
couldn't believe it.
They can't even handle it. Tony, I've said, Tony, you book the show. Oh, am I taking crazy pills? What's going on? Anything could happen. You guys, Bridger, thank you so much. This was so much fun.
You.
Listeners, thank you for listening. I love you. You matter. Goodbye.
Hey, do you know about the Allison Rosen Show? We had a good time.